President George A. Smith then addressed the conference as follows. The snowstorm has prevented the large gathering that was anticipated. A great many people would have attended conference this morning could not consistently come on account of the weather, and the house is not as comfortable as it otherwise would have been. Yet we are gratified at the liberal number which has assembled in this rather unexpected storm at this season. We have learned, I believe, to make no particular or certain calculations on the weather in these mountains in the spring season. It very frequently happens we have our spring in the winter, and our winter in the spring. I have been edified in listening to the remarks of the elders who have spoken, but as the conference has not been very large, and we shall not at the present time be able to entirely close our business, we think proper to adjourn from week to week until our business is completed. I wish, however, to offer a few suggestions for the benefit of the elders who have been called to take part in the labor of preaching the gospel more directly than they have hitherto done in the various settlements. It will be necessary that they organize themselves into convenient companies for the holding of 2 days' meetings. Where it is practicable, perhaps the 12 could superintend this organization, but where it is not, some of the more experienced missionaries can step forward and make the necessary arrangements. For instance, in this county, Elders Lorenzo D. Young and Milo Andrus, and perhaps some 1 or 2 others, might confer together and appoint meetings in the different settlements, say at Mill Creek, Draper, at the Cottonwoods, West Jordan, and others. And on the occasions appointed for the meetings, enough of these elders, as they arrange among themselves, could meet there and devote a couple of days to preaching, giving instructions, talking upon the things of the kingdom, and bearing testimony to the plan of salvation, stirring up the hearts of the brethren to faithfulness and diligence. You know it is said by the apostle, "It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believed." I have felt satisfied that the preaching of the elders was very important, not only in instructing the young and rising generation, but in keeping alive and awake all those in the church who, peradventure, through the cares of the world, the deceitfulness of riches, and 100 other causes, may suffer themselves to become slothful, thoughtless, and lukewarm. We see this very clearly illustrated in the revelation concerning Zion. The Lord, through the prophet Joseph Smith, speaking concerning Zion, in Book D.C., page 279, paragraphs 6 and 7, says, "A certain nobleman had a spot of land very choice, and he said unto his servants, Go ye unto my vineyard, even unto this very choice piece of land, and plant 12 olive trees, and set watchmen round about them, and build a tower, that one may overlook the land round about, to be a watchman upon the tower, that mine olive trees may not be broken down, when the enemy shall come to spoil, and take unto themselves the fruit of my vineyard." Now the servants of the nobleman went and did as the Lord commanded them, and planted the olive trees, and built a hedge round about, and set watchmen, and began to build a tower. And while they were yet laying the foundation thereof, they began to say among themselves, What need hath my Lord for this tower? And consulted for a long time, saying among themselves, What need hath my Lord for this tower, seeing that this is a time of peace? Might not this money be given to the exchangers? For there is no need of these things. And while they were at variance one with another, they became very slothful, and they hearkened not unto the commandments of their Lord. And the enemy came by night, and broke down the hedge, and the servants of the nobleman arose, and were affrighted, and fled. And the enemy destroyed their works, and broke down the olive trees. Now behold, the nobleman, the lord of the vineyard, called upon his servants, and said unto them, Why, what is the cause of this great evil? Ought ye not to have done even as I commanded you? And after ye have planted the vineyard, and built the hedge round about, and set watchmen on the walls thereof, built the tower also, and set a watchman upon the tower, and watched for my vineyard, and not have fallen asleep, lest the enemy should come upon you. And behold, the watchman upon the tower would have seen the enemy while he was yet afar off, and then ye could have made ready, and kept the enemy from breaking down the hedge thereof, and saved my vineyard from the hands of the destroyer. Now if they had done as they had been instructed, and kept awake, perhaps by faithful preaching and diligence on the part of some of them, in getting up meetings, or in some other way had taken upon themselves to build the tower and set watchmen upon it, they would have seen the enemy when afar off, and would have been prepared to defend the tower and the vineyard, and to preserve the property of their Lord. I have quoted the parable to show the importance, as I think, not only of our bishops and the presidents of stakes and branches being diligent with the aid of their teachers, but that the elders should wake up and have meetings more frequently than at some time past in the county of Davis. A number of elders have been selected to take part in these home missions. We do not wish to confine any of them to the 2 days' meetings, nor to labor within the limits of that county. They should be alive on any and every occasion that they may have opportunity, in ward meetings, in circulating round through the settlements, in preaching the gospel of peace, bearing testimony, and stirring the saints up to diligence. It will be well for Elders Anson Call, W.B. Nobles, or some other elders who have been appointed to notify the rest and make arrangements for their meetings in the different wards, Bountiful, Kaysville, Farmington, and all those places where there are large houses. Perhaps when the season advances, get up 1 or 2 county meetings. And if the houses are too small, hold your meetings under the shade of a grove or bowery, and have a general good time. And the same course may be taken by the elders in other counties. The 12 will give advice or instruction at any time it is required. In relation to the duties of these missionaries, it is very likely that before the close of conference there may be more selected, but those we have already selected we hope will be alive and diligent in the performance of their duties, and aid the bishops and all the presiding authorities of the several wards in giving instructions, preaching the gospel of peace, and causing comfort, satisfaction, and happiness to dwell freely and abundantly in the hearts of all. We are very well aware that one of the great enjoyments of a Latter-day Saint when he is living in the exercise of his holy religion is in going to meeting and in hearing the instructions of the servants of the Lord. These missionaries should also visit and encourage the Sunday schools in all the neighborhoods where we travel. I do not expect them to be stationary where they live, but to pass into neighboring counties, and, if necessary and their circumstances will permit, to travel from one end of the territory to the other. Those who have been appointed heretofore as home missionaries need not consider that they are released from that appointment in consequence of their not being included in this one. They should continue their labors and instructions among the Scandinavian brethren in their native tongue, as well as among the German, French, Welsh, or other branches wherever it may be necessary to have meetings in the language of the emigrants from the nations who have not had time, opportunities, or facilities to learn the English language well enough to understand the general preaching and instruction. The day is cold and the room somewhat unpleasant. It is therefore probably best not to continue our services. May the blessings of God be and abide upon you. Amen.